Okay. Listen, thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm Jano Lieber, Chair and CEO of the MTA, and I'm joined by Bridges and Tunnels President Kathy Sheridan. I'll be introducing our other dignitaries in a moment. We are glad to be here today with so many of our law enforcement partners to mark a major milestone in this joint operation, a series of joint operations on toll evasion and ghost plates. This is the 25th joint operation that we have conducted together, all of these agencies. You remember that we brought this team together 2 years ago to address a serious and growing problem, which is toll deadbeats and people who use fake and obstructed plates to rip off millions of New Yorkers who play by the rules. The New Yorkers who play by the rules, who are getting ripped off by these people to the tune of $50 million a year, $50 million. We couldn't let that stand, and these joint operations that we've been talking about weekly, monthly, regularly, have been a great success. I need to thank everybody who has been part of this effort, starting at the top with Governor Hochul, Mayor Adams, and NYPD Commissioner Eddie Caban. These three have been real partners to the MTA, not just on this issue, but on a regular basis, as everybody knows. Now, I want to thank the agencies and specifically the officials who are represented here today. New York State DMV Commissioner Mark Schroeder, who's come from parts north to join with us. NYPD Chief of Transportation Philip Rivera. Where is Mr. Chief Rivera, who has been such an important piece of this? The first Deputy Sheriff, Warren Glover. We get to pick up these cars from these deadbeats because the sheriff goes out a lot of times in the middle of the night, and whether it's a car with ghost plates or a car that has had registration suspended because they're not paying tolls, frequently the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars, that is the sheriff who gets that done. State Police Major Christopher Casal, thank you for being here with us. Port Authority Superintendent Ed Setnar. The Port Authority has been a great partner in this effort. They control many of the major crossings, and we work together. And TLC Police Chief Jose Torres, thank you all for being here. I just want to give you personally a big round of applause. This is an all-agency effort. In fact, with all the titles represented here, it kind of feels like the Noah's Ark of law enforcement. But given that company and the esteemed company it is, I want to highlight in particular what we and the NYPD are accomplishing in the transit system. Stepping away from the issue of the moment, I want to talk about the fact that subway crime was down again last week, and it's also down substantially for the first half of this year. Down 7% in 2024 for the first 6 months compared to 2023, and it's down 11%. Subway crime is down 11% compared to pre-COVID. That's right, 11% less than 2019. These are major steps forward. We said we were going to focus on subway crime, and take a look, New York. It is showing. We are not only knocking down the numbers of subway crime, but we're also working with the DAs from every borough. I think that we could really knock those numbers down even further if we started to put the recidivists out of the system. The people who get 5 to 10 to 20 to 50 arrests every year, and there are a lot of them, they're committing a disproportionate amount of the crime. So we are working with the DAs to make sure that those people get special attention. And when they're picked up, they don't just cycle through the system and back out, that they are dealt with in a differential way that recognizes that they are chronic offenders. Now, we at the MTA are proud to deal with all of these law enforcement partners through this task force. 25 operations, arrested 338 toll-dodging drivers. We've impounded 1,500 vehicles who together owed almost $13 million. Those folks owed $13 million. Their vehicles not available until they settle up. And we've issued 12,000 summonses using every tool at our disposal to really bear down on the scourge of toll evasion, ghost plates, and other violations of this kind. But you got to believe we're going to get every penny. I mean, we've got amazing supporters here from all across law enforcement. And I just want the New Yorkers to know that we collect 98% of the tolls that are owed by these chronic offenders who have their registration suspended and are targeted for car seizures. 98% of the tolls are actually collected. So listen up. Here's another warning. If you have a ghost plate or some kind of covering on your license plate, please take it off. You're going to be stopped by one of these great agencies, by an MTA bridge and tunnel officers, by the NYPD, by the sheriff, by the state police. One of us is going to get you. So we're all partnering up. Please don't do it. This is, as I want to underscore to New Yorkers again, this is about fairness. It's not right when drivers, many of whom are tooling around in a Rolls Royce, a Bugatti, a Mercedes, a Land Rover, whatever, are stiffing New Yorkers. That's the bottom line here. This is about fairness and making sure that New Yorkers don't get stuck with the bills that the deadbeats won't pay. It's your money that they are taking, and we're not going to let it happen. $50 million a year, we're going to get every dollar. So with that, let me turn it over to TBTA, MTA Bridges and Tunnels head, Kathy Sheridan. Kathy.
Thank you, Jana. As you can see by the array of vehicles behind me, we are very serious about removing vehicles with suspended registrations and ghost plates from our roadways. TBTA joins forces multiple times each week to combat drivers who break the law. As Jana mentioned, yesterday's operation marked a milestone since the task force kickoff in March at the RFK Bridge. And we could not have come this far without the ongoing support of Governor Hochul, Mayor Adams, the NYPD, and all of our regional partners. The proof of our collective commitment is in the numbers Jano cited, and I commend our TBTA workforce for their part in this effort. We know that all law-abiding motorists are paying their tolls. These enforcement measures are designed to level that playing field, so toll evaders and violators are held accountable and pay their fair share. And as we've been saying all along, covered, altered, or obstructed license plates and counterfeit plates are not specific to toll evasion, which is why these other agencies around me are also deeply committed to enforcement throughout our city. The bottom line is very simple. Do not drive with a covered, altered, or obstructed plate. Do not drive with a counterfeit plate. Do not drive with a suspended registration. And spare yourself the hassle of what you see behind me and getting pulled over and having your vehicle towed. So now I'll turn it over to Philip Rivera, NYPD Chief of Transportation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Morning. I just want to start by thanking those who made this operation possible. I know we have a lot of department heads and police chiefs here, but special recognition needs to go to Deputy Commissioner Owen McShane from the Department of Motor Vehicles and Chief Tom Alps, the Executive Officer of the NYPD's Transportation Bureau. While all of these agencies involved in the ghost plate operations were already doing enforcement on ghost plates, we didn't have the level of coordination that made the results that we achieved possible. Commissioner McShane pitched the idea to Chief Alps, who took the initiative to set up these multi-agency operations. I would also like to thank Captain Michael Rhodes from the New York State Police, Captain Frank Peterson from the MTA Police, Chief Paul Leggio from TBTA Police, Chief Kevin Fowler from the Port Authority Police Department, Chief Jose Torres from TLC Police, and New York City Sheriff Anthony Miranda for their leadership and collaborative efforts. Most importantly, I want to thank the officers, troopers, deputy sheriffs, and traffic agents who endured the frigid cold and the intense heat while conducting these operations on some of the busiest thoroughfares in this nation. Braving the elements and wading through vehicular traffic at significant peril to themselves, these officers have made outstanding progress in eliminating ghost plates. The executives planned, but your hardworking law enforcement officers are doing the great work and deserve the accolades. I want to also thank the vast majority of honest commuters who put up with the traffic delays associated with our operations. We don't want to inconvenience you, but we want to ensure that all road users are held to the same standards. We received a few complaints about traffic, but your response was overwhelmingly positive to thank us and cheer us on. So yesterday we wrapped up our 25th multi-agency ghost plate operation on the Milestone Bridge. All the agencies combined made 337 arrests, issued 11,926 summonses, and seized over 1,500 vehicles, responsible for, as the president said, $12.5 million in judgments. 59%, or 201 of the 337 arrests, were made for aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle, which is knowingly operating a motor vehicle having a suspended license. The license was often suspended for not answering traffic summonses or not paying judgments for traffic summonses convictions. We also arrested 39 drivers for having open warrants for failing to appear in court for various offenses. 33 were arrested for criminal possession of a forged instrument, usually a fraudulent temporary paper plate. An additional 454 drivers were summoned for being unlicensed and removed from the roadways. 82% of the vehicles we seized were unregistered. 402 had no registration at all. 861 of the registrations were revoked or suspended. We also seized 125 illegal mopeds during these operations. A reminder, mopeds are required to have VIN numbers so that they can be registered and insured. It's not about taking somebody's livelihood away. This is about ensuring criminals don't use these limited use motorcycles to commit crimes, and people who operate them are properly insured in case they are injured themselves or cause injury to someone else. I just want to highlight a few examples of the excellent work that was done during these operations. On March 21st, Port Authority Police conducted a felony car stop for a ghost plate and recovered a firearm. On April 29th, at the Queens Midtown Tunnel, one vehicle was seized that owed over $143,000 in judgments. On May 15th, the New York City deputy sheriffs apprehended 4 individuals who fled from the task force causing a collision, 2 of which were co-defendants in a grand larceny pattern involving stolen credit cards. 1 individual had extensive violent history, including 2 gun possession arrests and arrest for a shots fired incident earlier that year. On June 15th, TBTA and MTA police made an arrest for driving while intoxicated. On June 15th, NYPD officers on foot stopped a motorcycle on the 3rd Avenue Bridge. The motorcyclist accelerated in an attempt to abscond, lost control, and struck a parked vehicle. He fled on foot, was apprehended, but was found in possession of a firearm. And then on June 2nd, after receiving a license plate reader alert for a stolen plate, the New York State Police stopped the vehicle safely. The investigation revealed that the plate was reported stolen on May 7th and it was incurring tolls and fees. In addition, the operator's license was found to be suspended. So we've spoken about the criminal aspects of ghost plates, but I just want to expand a little bit on their effect on traffic safety. In New York City, the NYPD's Collision Investigation Squad responds to traffic collisions with serious injuries likely to die. The following is a breakdown of 30 Criminal Investigation Squad investigations involving ghost vehicles. 22 vehicles were unregistered, 6 were expired, 4 were mismatched plates, and 3 vehicles were suspended. 1 was actually stolen. A significant example of ghost plate vehicle linked to both criminal and traffic safety occurred this past July 4th inside of Corlier's Hook Park in Lower Manhattan. A drunk driver sped through an intersection and plowed into a family and friends enjoying Independence Day. 3 people were killed and 7 others were injured. The driver, besides being drunk, was using a ghost plate on his car to avoid parking summonses, red light enforcement cameras, and bridge tolls. This tragedy underscores the importance of the work that we've done and will continue to do. Thank you.
It's nice to be a part of Jano's arc. My name is Mark Schroeder. I was in the private sector for 25 years. I served as an elected official for 17 years. I've been the commissioner of DMV and also the chair of the Governor's Traffic and Safety Committee since 2019. On behalf of our governor, many of you know she is the first woman governor since 1777. She's only the 2nd governor from where I come from. But most importantly, she is the only governor in New York State history who actually has run a DMV. So she understands exactly what it is that we're talking about here. And my law enforcement partners, you might like this. Many of you remember Governor Patterson. Governor Patterson. So I saw him recently in front of the Javits Center, and I went up to him. He's very independent. He doesn't use a seeing eye dog or a cane. And I said, Governor, Mark Schroeder from Buffalo. And he goes, Mark, my old friend, what are you doing now? I said, Governor, I'm the commissioner of the Department of Motor Vehicles. And he said, yes, I can finally get my license. So that's a fun story. The stories that we're talking about today, they're not fun at all. They're about cheaters, people who are cheating. So the update on ghost plates, in particular, we have some New Yorkers who conceal license plates. They avoid paying tolls. And there's other reasons which were indicated here to why they're covering up their plates. So law enforcement is holding them responsible, holding them accountable. And so I want to say special thanks to all the agencies that you see here, MTA, NYPD, the New York Sheriff's Department, New York State Police, the Port Authority, and TLC, and others. This has been a group effort. We are supported by our governor, Kathy Hochul. We thank her for her leadership. She's determined to have safe streets. Several months ago, the governor, Mayor Adams, announced the interagency task force partnership between New York City and New York State. The governor is very proud of all of your accomplishments that we've been talking about here today. I am very proud of DMV, the Governor's Traffic and Safety Committee, our Division of Field Investigators, who are working with our partners in law enforcement. We are identifying counterfeit license plates, counterfeit inspection stickers, counterfeit driver license and counterfeit registrations, and more. And finally, fake or covered plates, ghost plates, should not be on our roadways. This task force has made it crystal clear to criminals, you will be stopped and you will pay. So on behalf of myself, the governor of New York State, we want to thank you for your good work, and we want to say be safe and God bless you and your families.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ed Setnar, Superintendent of Port Authority of New York and New Jersey Police Department. First of all, Chairman, thank you very much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, a few years ago, the Port Authority leadership under Chairman Kevin O'Toole and Executive Director Rick Cotton started to see that we were having an issue with the loss of revenue because folks were cheating the tolls. And they came to the police department to see what we can do and how we can start to mitigate those efforts because, as the chairman said, these are folks that are cheating the system, beating the law-abiding citizens for doing their part and paying their tolls. So we started to instill some of our programs and put a program in place where in 2023 we were able to recoup $25 million and started to enhance the efforts. In March of this year, when the MTA and the other agencies asked us to partner up with them, we jumped right in because it is a collaborative effort. It is something of sharing information that is very, very critical to us and the other agencies to make sure we are all getting our fair part of revenue recovery. So it is an honor for us to be part of the task force and working with all these agencies, sharing information. And as Chief Rivera said, you never know what one of these stops may lead to. We had a weapon recovery. We've had other recoveries of folks that were wanted for different crimes, and they got stopped for toll evasion. So this is a very, very important issue, not only for the Port Authority, but the other agencies. And it's also something that we are looking at every aspect of crime and intelligence. So it's something that, as innocent as a motor vehicle stop, because somebody is trying to cheat the system, it can lead to something else. And that information is being shared with all our partners. So yesterday alone, the Port Authority, in the efforts with the task force, we recovered 59 vehicles. 59 summonses. We recovered a few vehicles, a couple arrests, and over $700,000 in revenue was recovered as a result of the efforts of the men and women of the Port Authority yesterday. That's just one day that we're doing, and we're focusing at our crossings between New York and New Jersey. So I thank the chairman and I thank all the partners for sharing the information, working closely with us, and we are committed to this effort. Thank you.
Major Casal. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I am Major Christopher Casale, C-A-S-A-L-E. I'm with the New York State Police, and I serve as the troop commander here in New York City. I am honored to be standing here with the leaders of our law enforcement partners and the men and women who do this job every day. 25. That's the number of interagency enforcement details we've come together to accomplish since March. As you have already heard, the sheer magnitude of these numbers is staggering. Just last week, during an enforcement initiative at the Verrazano Bridge, troopers stopped a perpetrator with a suspended license who was using a stolen plate on their vehicle, all while incurring tolls and fines from a law-abiding victim. And that is one of the reasons we are doing these enforcement details, for the people. The everyday New Yorker who is out there doing the right thing, those who wake up every morning, go to work, and abide by the law. Our troopers and officers are out there enforcing our laws and handing out tickets to people who try to cheat the system. These troopers and officers are also making arrests of those individuals who are engaging in other crimes and try to conceal their identity to carry out those crimes. This will continue to be a top priority for all of us. The men and women of all the agencies you see here will continue to come together to keep our roadways and the citizens of New York State safe, and hold those who are engaging in this illegal activity accountable for their actions. Thank you.
Deputy Sheriff Glover.
Good morning, all. My name is Warren Glover. I'm from the New York City Sheriff's Office, First Deputy Sheriff. On behalf of Sheriff Miranda, the New York City Sheriff's Office is happy to collaborate with other city agencies as we go on this endeavor. This task force made up of all law enforcement agencies. Ghost plate vehicles are a priority of the Sheriff's Office. We go out at night, we work hard as a part of the task force, and we go after those people who circumvent the law. This will continue as a part of the task force. On behalf of the mayor, who's allowed this initiative to take place, the Sheriff's Office stands strong, our deputies, as we support the efforts of the task force. And we will continue to strive and work hard to do our very best to ensure that ghost plates and vehicles that have ghost plates are properly licensed, uninsured, uninspected vehicles, that we go after them. And we will continue to fight that fight each and every day as a part of the task force. And on behalf of all of the gentlemen here, we appreciate being a part of this effort, and we look forward to the continued operations. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman and everyone here, time to take some questions. Let's start with WCBS 2's Marcia Kramer to your left, Mr. Chairman.
Hi, Jano. How you doing? So as I take a look at all these cars that you have here, many of them are high-end cars. There's a Range Rover, there's a Cadillac, there are Mercedes. You would think that people who could afford to have these kinds of cars could afford to pay the tolls. What's going on here that all of these fancy car people aren't paying their tolls?
It's a good question, Marcia. It goes to what all of our organizations do, which is to push in different ways to reestablish a sense of fair play, order, and safety in all of these transportation systems. I talked earlier about the progress we're making against subway crime. We work with the NYPD every day on that. There's no question that during COVID, people got a little lax about following the rules. We see it in all our public spaces in all different kinds of ways, and that goes for people who are driving, as you said, these luxury vehicles, some of them cheating New Yorkers on tolls. We're not letting people who are the richest among us get away with cheating New Yorkers any more than we want somebody who beats the subway fare to get away with it. We're treating everybody equally. This is part of that.
So when you look at these cars, don't you say, what's going on here? Why don't you just pay the toll?
Listen, the people who are psychologists and sociologists have to figure out why people who have a ton of money to invest in a fancy car would try to cheat their fellow New Yorkers, their neighbors, by not paying their tolls, by covering their plates, by getting a ghost plate, or just by ignoring the bills. That's a bigger question, is like, why do people try to avoid, who have the means, try to avoid paying their fair share? But we're treating everybody the same. Somebody who tries to beat the fare, as I said, on the railroads, they're getting a summons now. No more IOUs. People who are trying to jump the turnstile, walk in the exit gate in the subway, NYPD gotcha. 150% higher number of summons. And just the same, we're doing it here. The interdiction efforts that we're talking about here today have the additional impact of catching cars that are being used in crime. This is an emphasis the mayor has made again and again. Ghost plates, closely associated with the use of vehicles in crime. That's why you get so many guns when you stop somebody who's driving with a counterfeit or a ghost plate, and we commend the NYPD for cracking down on that.
All right, to your right is Andrew Siff from WNBC.
I have one on topic and one off topic. On topic, my question is 25 sting operations, 2-year effort here, but you're still talking about $50 million in unpaid toll revenue. My question is, how much worse would that have been if you weren't doing these interdictions?
Honestly, Andrew, I'll have to go back and work the math to give you an answer on that. The point is, we saw a surge in unlawful behavior. We see it in all of our public spaces, in small acts of disorderliness, people not playing by the rules where we share public space. And we saw it in the growth of counterfeit plates, ghost plates, and toll scofflaws. We took action, we're pushing back, and that's why we're able to announce these positive results that you're hearing about today. 1,500 cars seized. For just the MTA piece, over $12.5 million collected from just those 1,500 cars. And also we're pushing people who might think about not paying to pay. That can't be quantified, but it's having an effect.
Andrew, we'll come back to you just to take on topic first. On topic, next up, we'll go to Samantha Liebman here from New York One.
Hi, Jano. Can you talk about how the change in the law in the budget process has helped you at all in this operation?
Yeah, sure. You want to touch on?
Sure. So the changes in the law give us ability to there's fines that went up. So the fines for covered and obstructed plates are $50 to $300. It's really assessed based on the judge's discretion, but there is a deterrent, a monetary deterrent. There are other things in the law, for instance, going directly to judgment, which doesn't go effect until September. So we haven't seen any effects from that yet, but we'll certainly monitor that.
Going to judgment. Yeah, explain what it means.
Sure. So instead of having to suspend a registration for non-payment of tolls, we can actually, similar to how parking tickets are handled, we can go directly to judgment and submit that through a civil process. And we can avoid, a volume of suspended registrations going to DMV and handle it in a different way. So now we have 2 tools in our toolbox for that.
So will we see less, we'll see less people using those plates because of that, or see more cars impounded? What do you think?
So we'll see more cars taken off the road, yes.
All right, President Sheridan, thank you. Let's go over to Greg Mocker from Pix 11.
Can I just
absolutely.
do one oversight? I didn't acknowledge the men and women, the forces of the TBTA represented here, not just by Kathy Sheridan, but by Rich Hildebrand, who runs operations at TBTA. We got a lot of great TBTA workforce here, and I just want a special shout out to them on a very hot day where they're out and doing their thing. Thank you so much for what you do every day. Go ahead, Greg.
Chairman, fare and toll evasion blows a hole in the budget. You've talked about that. Is the collection that's being done here significant? What's it allow you to redo? And then is toll enforcement easier than fare enforcement?
Well, listen, here's the bottom line is that we're trying to do everything on the level and treat everybody equally. There's no reason that 90% of New Yorkers come to Manhattan, workplace in Manhattan by transit. So we're not going to allow fare evasion to get out of control, and we're going to push back to the extent it has. People who drive are part of this, the economy of this of transportation in the region, and they're part of the sense of fairness that we're all fighting to preserve. And that's why we're going to push back equally on drivers, especially those who are doing ghost plates, counterfeit plates, defaced plates, that all of our intel suggests means that they're more likely to be used in crime. So we're pushing back on fare evasion, we're pushing back on toll evasion, and we're supporting the mayor and the governor's goal for stamping out crime.
All right.
And the money is significant. All of our agencies provide important transportation services based on the funding that we receive. And we've seen, what we've seen in New Jersey the last week or two is the result of chronic and historic and long-standing underfunding. We're trying to avoid that in New York. That's why we were able to run subway, commuter rail, and everything else so well during the heat wave. And compare that with what's happening across the river. Money matters.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. We have Telemundo 47. Ricardo is in the back over there. I don't know if you could see him through our cameras. Ricardo, to you.
Over here.
Ricardo.
How's it going? You mentioned a driver was arrested. He owed like 150 grand and summonses. That's what I heard. I don't know, but in that case, when someone owes so much,
yeah,
right, and you have that vehicle, can't you just have the property, sell it, and perhaps
there's a whole procedure for how long they have to redeem the vehicle and what are the circumstances under which we can treat it as the property of the city or the state as appropriate. So we're going to get the money. That's why I say 98% of the unpaid tolls that are put into this category, registration suspension, and they become targeted, we get 98% of the money because we take the cars. But you're right. If they won't pay up, we're going to sell the vehicle.
All right. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. Okay, any more on-topic questions? On-topic questions. Okay, back to Andrew Siff for his off-topic question, Mr. Chairman.
This is just a heat-related question, maybe for Kathy. You all probably saw a video of the 3rd Avenue Bridge yesterday, which buckled in the heat. That's a DOT bridge, I believe.
Yeah.
My question is, are any MTA bridges or properties right now facing any kind of similar buckling, because we're in a period where there's no break in this forecast for the next 7 to 10 days?
Yeah, listen, we're inspecting our facilities regularly. We have protocols for dealing with heat. We have protocols for dealing with extreme cold, with rain, with every weather condition, and we run the system very, very tight, and we're used to doing it. What I would say is the condition of infrastructure, the broader question that you're raising is, what does it mean when we get in these extreme circumstances? Does condition of infrastructure matter? The answer is yes. And that's why you saw when New Jersey was suffering, along with Amtrak, who's responsible for a lot of that infrastructure, because of chronic investment, New York, our system, subway, great on-time performance, commuter rail, both of them, 97, 98% in the last couple of weeks. And the system is working because we've protected it. That's why I am so adamant about not letting the system go, by continuing to invest in our mass transit system so it doesn't fall apart like we're seeing in other parts of the country.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much to our law enforcement partners and all of our officers who continue to make sure our roads are safe. Right now, we're going to take a photo op, and there's going to be a B-roll package that's going to run on our live stream, which encompasses the 25th enforcement operation that happened here at the RFK Bridge yesterday. Thank you. Bronx Whitestone Bridge. Bronx Whitestone. Thank you, Tom.